hangman?
The hangman.
Oh, that's tight.
Carrasco.
That's fine. That's perfect for jiu-jitsu, right?
It's perfect. Too perfect.
It
was meant to be.
Yeah, the hangman.
We ready? All right. With my man Mike Murdah. Carrasco. World champion breakdancer. World of Dance host.
Mm-hmm.
DJ. World-class DJ. And a lot of other things.
Too many things.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah, I guess. I get more busy than I'd like to be.
Jiu-jitsu badass. Okay.
That too. The problem is I get obsessed with things. So it's like I do the things that I like to do, but I do those things a lot. So I was actually having this conversation with my roommate the other day, and she was like, how much of your life is occupied by the things you're passionate about? And I had to think about it, and I'm like, all of it. Between like all the things that I do, and I don't think there's anything else that I do. It's
everything you do, you love.
Yeah, I don't go out like, and play like football or basketball at the park or anything like that. Like I do jiu-jitsu, So
you're originally from El Paso, Texas.
Yeah, I was born and raised in El Paso. I lived there till I was like 18, and then I got the fuck out. I was out.
You started breakdancing. How old were you?
I started breaking when I was like probably 14 or 15. It's just before I was old enough to drive, because my friends would have to come pick me up at school because I couldn't drive, and then we would go to practice, and
You just started showing people up.
Yeah, it's funny because the breaking world's a lot like the jiu-jitsu world.
Yeah.
You start and you're essentially a wipeout. And, depending on where you go, you might get smoked by a bunch of guys. Like, people call you out, and, it's embarrassing to go up against somebody. And that was my experience in the breaking world. You just kind of get smoked every time you go out. You enter battles and you lose. You don't qualify for years.
How did you get, who taught you? How did you learn? How did you get involved?
I came up in a weird time because at the time there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't, even DVDs. Everything was VHS based.
Right.
So all the big events were happening in Germany or on the West Coast. There was a big event on the West Coast in LA called BBoy Summit.
Okay.
And that was one of the biggest events in the States. In Europe, there was Battle of the Year, which is huge. It's like an arena, 10,000 people, sold out. It's massive. But it's in Germany. So for me coming up, that might as well be like another
But didn't
planet.
breaking start in New York?
It started in New York, and it got really big
scene.
in New York. Yeah, it got really big in New York, and then it exploded in the States. But in the 80s, when it exploded, it got oversaturated and overexploited by mainstream media, and then it just kind of became like a joke, like a novelty. People made fun of it, breakdancers, this and that. And it became synonymous with the 80s.
Right.
And then what happened is it went out of style in the States, but in Europe, they were kind of late to the party. So in the 80s, when it was big in the States, it got really big in Europe and in Asia in the 90s. And they just carried the torch. And they just kept going. So when I started again, or not again, but when I first started, it was about 1997 is when I started. That's when it was big overseas. And then we were starting to get fed VHS tapes from these European events that were huge. And you kind of see where the level is. And I was just hooked. I was like, I have to.
What countries are big?
Well, now everywhere because of,
the
explosion of social media and YouTube and whatnot. But I would say
back then,
France and Germany were huge. America had a good scene. There was some steady talent here. But then in the early 2000s, Asia blew up, like Korea specifically, because the Koreans, they had support from their government. So it's like they'd get artist grants. As over here, nobody really cared if you were a breakdancer. I went to Germany, I won world championships. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody cared over here. It just wasn't a big thing. But in Korea,
it's like Olympic sports here too, huh?
Yeah.
The wrestlers and stuff.
People don't care. Yeah, but in other countries,
right.
Those guys are superstars. So you go to Korea, the B-boys in Korea, they're winning world championships and they represent their country and their country backs them. So when they come back, they're like celebrities. They're famous in their countries. I went over there and they were on Pepsi cans. They're legit over there. They're on billboards and they have artist grants and the government supports them. They don't have to work. They train 24 hours. So they just kind of took over the b-boy world. They were winning everything. They were winning everything for a long time.
Koreans, huh?
Yeah,
what about Japan?
Japan's always been kind of like steady. They were never terrible, but they were never like, they never, I wouldn't say they never won, but it was less frequent than Korea or America or France winning or something like that. Yeah. And I came up with like, say mid 2000s is when I started traveling a lot internationally. It's like it's a.
But okay, so you're telling me it's like there's like potential might be potentially in the Olympics now. Like it's going. You travel so much, right? With all this stuff now. But I guess I want to go back, I guess, a little bit. Like you were in El Paso, and there were some groups that were doing it, right? Mm-hmm. You got some VHS tapes. How did you get? Like, did you have friends that were doing it?
Yeah, so it became like a big thing when I was in middle school. Just like out of nowhere, yeah.
Okay.
Like out of nowhere, everybody was breakdancing.
Okay.
Just like at the theaters, movie theaters, you go to the theater, circles everywhere.
In the early 2000s.
Like late 90s.
Late 90s, okay.
Late 90s, yeah. Late 90s, everybody was breaking. And I just kind of started doing it.
I was in Brazil.
Right? I just started doing it just because my friends were doing it. I was like, cool, whatever. And I'm just rolling around on the ground. And then I just got more and more into it. And then I got into high school. And then shortly after, all my friends, it was kind of a passing fad. And all my friends got into like their party crews and they started doing other things. Yeah. And they got into girls and partying and whatnot. And I just kept doing it. I met a couple of guys that were a little older than me. And
they mentored you and stuff?
Yeah, they kind of mentored me a bit. And we started traveling around to like neighboring cities. Like we'd go to Albuquerque or we'd go to Arizona, Santa Fe, something like that, Those are the nearest cities. And we would just go enter battles all the time. We'd just travel and enter battles and we lost everything. And we made a little noise in our region. And then a couple of the guys that mentored me, they moved to Vegas as they got older. So one of them moved to Vegas, and the next year another one moved to Vegas, and the next year they moved me to Vegas. So now we kind of had our own like little crew in Vegas, and just we hooked up with another crew that was in Vegas called Knuckleheads.
What year was that?
2002, something like that.
2002. Okay, so you were you graduated high school?
I graduated high school. Okay. Yeah. So
your parents let you?
Yeah. Reluctantly.
At you were 18.
18.
18. Okay.
Yeah. But reluctantly, my parents were immigrants from Mexico, so it's like when your son wants to move to Vegas to be a breakdancer, like. You don't understand that. Yeah. Like you want your kids to grow up and have the American dream to go to college and
be an attorney, be a doctor.
Exactly, be a doctor, be a fireman, be a whatever, and then get the white picket fence and find that girl and settle down and have kids and just like that was just never me.
Yeah,
that was the furthest thing from me. I had to get out of El Paso and just do what I wanted to do. Yeah. Like I didn't know where I was gonna go. Honestly, I wasn't trying to like make it some living or whatever. It's just something I had to do.
You loved and.
It's just something I love to do,
every single day.
Yeah, and and of course I got made fun of in school because I did it. At a certain point, once I was like a junior in high school and I was still breaking, everybody's like, "Oh, you're still doing the breakdancing thing? Oh, that's cool." Like, all right, and just nobody cared. Still, nobody cared.
I mean, it wasn't so big, right? It's much bigger now.
No,
because it's.
And I mean, even now, it's a little weird. America's weird because
backwards.
It's backwards because it's like. I can win world championships in who knows how many countries and do all these different events and people are like, well, that's cool. But I do like a little TV show that's kind of a joke on MTV and then all of a sudden everybody's like, man, you made it.
Is World of Dance on MTV?
No, America's Best Dance Crew
America's
was on
MTV. Dance Crew, yeah.
Dance Crew. So that was a big thing because that was like a mainstream show. And we ended up...
My kids love that show.
Yeah, we ended up winning that show.
You won the show?
Yeah, we won the show.
Okay.
And then... And after that, everything just blew up. Just like overnight, we'd go places and everybody recognized us. And we were like on concert tours and with major artists. And all of a sudden, everybody loved what we did. And all of my friends in school were like, it was badass, man. I knew you were going to make it, man.
You're gonna make it.
It's like, shut up. Like, you guys all made fun of me. It's funny how that works.
And so you all of your crew, you guys lived in Vegas?
Yeah, everybody was from Vegas. The guys that I moved out there with from Texas, they all stopped. I I'm the only one actually.
Okay.
That kept going.
Well, that was a different crew that you had back then.
Yeah, in El Paso, and when we moved to Vegas, we kind of combined with another crew in Vegas.
Okay.
Right, and then so we started. That's when things took off. Okay. Is when we started winning. We started winning in Germany and Korea and France, and we were traveling all over the place and on tours. And, huh? And we were like the U.S. representatives. We were Team USA for like a solid 5 years.
Wow.
And America just didn't care.
Right.
They did not care. Like, you come back and be like, we're Team USA. And they're like, oh, that's cool. Well, I hope the breakdancing thing goes well for you. I'm like, what else do I got to do here? So, yeah, man, it's the parallels between the B-boy world and the jiu-jitsu world are kind of uncanny, though.
Yeah.
The way it all works.
Yeah. Man. So how did you come to Los Angeles from Vegas?
I was doing a bunch of industry work.
Actually, hold on. LA. What was the name? What's the name of your crew that you had that you have now?
Well, the group that I have now. So it's. Let me start back. So when I moved to Vegas, we got into another crew called Knucklehead Zoo.
Knuckleheads Zoo.
Knucklehead Zoo.
Okay.
Right.
Got it, Hank.
Knucklehead Zoo. So that was the name of our crew. That was the crew that traveled all over the world and everything like that. And, we made a lot of noise. And then, so we had a couple of like sister crews. One was Full Force and one was Battle Monkeys. And Full Force and Battle Monkeys were relatively small crews. So when we'd go to events, and we might not have like enough people to enter, have a squad to enter an event, we would all enter together, like people mixed from all those crews. Or we'd go like to these events together and just call everybody out and just battle like all the big names and just look for them and just call them out, trying to make a name for ourselves. And then people would be like, well, who's battling? Who's, Massive Monkeys was the name of the crew, or Style Elements. Like, who's battling Style Elements? And everybody would say, it's some super crew. Some super crews battling, Style Elements. And then people started chanting, super crew, super crew, super crew. And then that became the name of that group. So it's like Super Crew is a collective of those three crews. And that's the crew that I'm in now. So, but technically, Super Crew is still a collective of three different crews. But after we won America's Best Dance Crew, Super Crew.
Because you have a Brazilian guy, right, in there?
Yeah, Nagin. yeah, my brother, man.
He's a capoeira guy, right?
Yes. So Nagin came up like in the capoeira world. So he said that like coming up in Brazil, he's like, you got into like one of three things. You got into jiu-jitsu, you got into capoeira, or you got into football or soccer.
Right, soccer.
And so he's like, but he went the capoeira route. And then I met Nagin back in like 2007 in Korea. He was like a little kid, and he's just kind of tagging along with us. But I remember he already had flips.
I mean, you guys are crazy. I watched some of your videos, like the stuff that you guys do.
Yeah. So
like the little videos that you post, I'm like, okay, sure.
It's so funny. I'm kind of like jaded by the whole thing because like I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah.
That when people make like a fuss about it, I'm like, I kind of shrug my shoulders. I'm like,
well, it kind of makes sense. We do jiu-jitsu and like your foot's not supposed to be there, but you're able to place it exactly in the spot that you need it for. And normally people can't do those kinds of things. So your body awareness is like, it's
level. So I always tell b-boys that whenever they ask me about jiu-jitsu, I'm like, if you're a break dancer or a b-boy or like a high level dancer, man, I was like, you need to get into jiu-jitsu.
Man,
like it's like a cheat code. It's having a cheat code. I always maintain every time I have like a b-boy friend that gets into jiu-jitsu, I always tell them, your day one on the mat is going to be your average person's year one. Like you're already 1 year ahead of the game from jump, just stepping on the mat. You're already going to give people problems.
Man, when I was in high school, like I guess my only like really experience was when I went to high school in New York, and we used to go to like some clubs, in the city, and then people would make little circles. I guess that was in the 90s.
Yeah. Okay.
Early 90s. So yeah, and I had some friends that would like they would break. It was like raves and things like that. And so is that where they would have like
there was like a lot of raves in El Paso, and that's where we would all go in like session and whatnot.
So that's where you'd have the circles and stuff.
Yeah, we'd
they'd have like break beats, right?
I mean, honestly, I really didn't care much about the music. It was more about just finding like a place where like all that community kind of came together, congregated. Just hope that you can have a good time before like the police showed up and broke up the party.
Yeah,
a lot of them were illegal.
Yeah, but it's crazy that you've been able to make a living, but doing what you love to do.
You just keep on doing it.
Yeah,
that's all there is to it. Like there was a bunch of people when I left El Paso. I did this god awful show. It was called Viva El Paso. It's still around too.
Viva
El Paso.
Viva El Paso.
And it was it's a theater show about the history of it. It's like in this big amphitheater. I mean, it's cool for what it is in El Paso. But it's about like the history, and it's like a lot of traditional dances, like the folklóricos and the tribal, the Indian dances, and it's about the history of Mexican people. And it's a cool show, I guess, but I mean, I just wasn't into it. But we ended up doing the show, and we were like the break dancers in the show, whatever, you know. We had this like Western scene, and we did a bunch of flips and stuff. And so we did that show, and we ended up quitting, and we got paid like nothing to do the show. You get like $20 a show or something like that. It was something ridiculous. And we ended up leaving, and then we moved to Vegas and all this other stuff. And then later on, I remember going back to El Paso and hearing that like all these breakdancers were trying out for the show, trying to get into the show because that's what we did, and that's the path to blowing up. You got to go through Viva El Paso and then do whatever.
It's funny how people just put two separate things.
Yeah,
right,
and I'm
together.
Just like, dude, trust me. I even had to talk with a couple of them. Like, you don't need to do that. You know, the show sucks. You're treated terribly, and you're not paid well. You can bypass that part, but people think that that's what you have to do to make it. But there is no real way to make it. Everybody's journey is going to be different. You know,
follow your heart, huh?
I just enjoyed doing it, and I just kept doing it. That was my life for a long time. I worked crappy jobs. I worked in restaurants, just like bussing tables, and I would go home and we'd practice until like 4 a.m, and we'd go get like 99-cent steak and eggs at like some little like hole in the wall casino at like 4 a.m. Go home, sleep for like 8 hours, wake up, run some errands, go to work, and do it all over again. And that was years of my life. Years. So
I understand.
It's just
love
putting
it.
in, you just gotta love it.
Yeah.
You just gotta love it, man. And eventually it becomes like a part
of work your ass off.
Yeah, eventually it just becomes a part of what you do.
Yeah.
Like it becomes like almost like it's just part of your
way
normal,
of life.
It's a way of life. It's something you have to do. Like it's kind of what jiu-jitsu is like now. Jiu-jitsu is kind of in that place for me where if I'm putting together my schedule, I'm like, well, I can't do it on Monday because I have strength and conditioning, and then I have gi. It's like a solidified part of my schedule. Like I don't really bend it for much.
What do you love about jiu-jitsu?
Oh man, everything. Just it runs hand in hand with the b-boy world for sure, but it's like a thinking game. You know, it can be as taxing as you want it to be, but it's just like high level problem solving for me. And and the better you get, and like the more efficient and proficient you get in it, you start to see more things, and then you get more into it because you're like, oh, I didn't see that entry. And how do you do that? And you start studying it. And you don't even realize it until like I'm on Instagram and I realize I've been like going down like a 2-hour rabbit hole of some leg entanglement or technique or whatever it is.
You're even competing now. Tournament, right?
Yeah.
It was this year, huh?
Yeah, it was this
Fight to Win, one of the Fight to Wins a few months ago.
Yeah, Fight to Win.
So, yeah, it's crazy. So, what are the similarities that you see with jiu-jitsu and breaking?
On the high level, I would say just like that composure. You know, like I'd say that years of competing in the b-boy world prepared me for competing at high levels in jiu-jitsu. And it's funny, I've had the same talk with Boogie and with Gio, and they said the same thing. They're like, yeah, just coming from the b-boy world, you step into like,
time to shine.
It's time to shine and
perform.
It's like a performance. Like obviously you want to win, but you want to make it entertaining. You want to put on a show. And that's kind of what I took away from it. So when I was backstage and Boogie had cornered me for the fight, we were breaking backstage. Yeah. We were practicing. We were doing footwork.
That's your warm-up.
We were doing warm-ups, and we were just laughing about it too. You know, it just didn't feel like anything. It felt like I was going in for a battle, but obviously it just felt like a little higher stakes. Right. Obviously, because it's like a physical confrontation.
Right.
Obviously,
they're trying to submit you, right?
You can get hurt,
right? Yeah,
you know. And on top of that, you don't want to get strangled in front of all your friends or the people that are coming to support you. You don't want to get blown out of the water. And on top of that, slams are legal. That's like another thing that you got to keep in mind. Like
what I love about like just you saying like it was you're performing. Mm-hmm. I mean. There's stakes and stuff, but like that, it's like playful too. It's like you're there to put on a show rather than worrying so much about winning and losing. More important is putting on a show. Like
and that's something I think that even you had told me. You're just like, just go out there and have fun, put on a show. And then same thing with Boogie. He said, just go out there and put on a show. He goes, go out there and just perform. Like, it's a battle. Go out there and just throw your sets, man.
Yeah, it's cool,
Just work your way through it.
That's cool.
And I'm like, all right. So I went in and I just kind of went for it. I was going for M&I rolls. I was going for like, I was jumping guard. I was pulling like rubber guards and things like that. And just, I felt like if I just stayed more active than my opponent.
Legacy the crowd there, right?
Oh my God. And Legacy came out like in droves. They came in super supportive. That was awesome. That was really cool, man. That was one of the coolest kind of aspects of that experience was the support that I got from the gym, for one. And then also just my friends. My friends were having like fight party in Vegas and they streamed it on Flow Grappling.
Oh, nice.
They had, like, everybody got together and had like a barbecue and they all got together and watched the fight.
That's cool.
So kind of knowing that coming in, I knew all my friends were watching in like Texas and Vegas, and it was really cool, man. Like, it didn't put any added pressure on me. It almost made me feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
Kind of going out and just kind of putting on the
spent how many years of your life doing that, performing?
Yeah, right.
Another performance, just another different stakes, right? But
and that was
thing.
And also just everybody from Legacy, man, just the support was really cool. That's the first time I've really experienced that too, because I've always been a bit of a nomad as far as jiu-jitsu goes.
Yeah.
You know, I was kind of over at this place and so sort of over at this place, and then I kind of settled into another place, but it wasn't much of a community.
Yeah.
And then going to another place and it's just like super competitive and everybody's kind of out for themselves and
we train hard, but we're like
I trained hard in all those places, but there was no real family kind of aspect. And then when I came here, it felt more of like a community. There's like a big support system here.
Yeah.
Because I think right here, I think one really, really cool thing about Legacy is like you have a perfect mix of guys who are competitive and in the competitive circuit, but also just kind of like your 9-to-5ers and casuals who are just kind of nerdy with jiu-jitsu and they don't really want to compete, or maybe they do, but it's not their life.
Yeah, but it's nice. Everybody helps each other out, right?
Yeah, having that mix, you know, and then getting ready for something like that, having the bodies that come in and are willing to really help you out and like, you know, be willing to like try to beat you up or get beaten up.
Yeah.
Just as like a sacrifice. You know, there's a lot of
that's
it.
It's a team. It takes a team, right?
It takes a team.
Takes a village, right?
For sure. Like there's, you know, guys in here that would come in. It's like, you know, you want to go as hard as you can, but you can't do that with everybody. Yeah. You know, but then there's the cool thing about here is there's guys, you know, here like AD or, you know, Chaz or whoever that like you can beat,
Chazarito.
you can beat the crap out of those guys and they're just gonna smile right back at you and they're gonna be like, oh, thank you, and they're gonna thank you for it.
Like today with Chaz, you're like, oh, it's a lot of hugging. It's about to happen.
Yeah, because if you beat that guy up, he's gonna shake your hand. He's gonna give you the biggest hug.
Man,
thank you. Thank you.
Man.
He's just like one step away from kissing you on the cheek. Right. That's what's really cool about being here, man. And the b-boy scene, same thing, man. It's just all of them
community and
it's community.
Respect.
That's the one thing I felt like I was missing out on in the jiu-jitsu world. Because in the dance world, I have this massive community. You know, I have a crew. Like these are my brothers and the guys that I traveled the world with. Yeah. And in jiu-jitsu, like I didn't quite have that. Yeah. I had a few guys here and there, you know, but it wasn't like how it is now.
Solidified.
Yeah, solidified, man.
Where in the world have you been? I don't know, the last few years. Because you know we're always talking like, I went to Panama, I went to Switzerland, I went to here.
Geez, off the top of my head, just recently, where'd I go?
Because you've been to Panama now, like a bunch of times.
Yeah, 3 years in a row.
3 years in a row.
Panama is awesome. Panama is really cool. And whenever I do travel, like for dancing or whatever, I always try my hardest to find some sort of jiu-jitsu gym or whatever, like in that city. So I've trained a lot in Hong Kong. Yeah. Shout out to Kowloon BJJ.
Cool.
Yeah, they always take me in. Cool. And really cool guys. And I know Shoyoroll has an office in Hong Kong now too.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Who runs that?
I'm not sure who runs it, but they have mentioned it to me a couple of times.
Okay.
And I think that if I do go there,
Shoyoroll a sponsored athlete as well.
Oh yeah,
you.
Yeah. Man, I'm just following your foot. You were the first. Huh?
Bear told me that. You know, so that's cool. It was before they had kimonos, right? It was before, way before. They had their logo though.
Yeah. So actually, you know, for people that don't know, Shoyoroll is the reason why I came here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because I was looking to make a change. I had gone pretty much strictly no gi over with Eddie Bravo. And I wanted to get back in the gi, because I like training the gi. I like everything. I like every aspect of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu, you should do both.
For sure. The
black belt.
And I just could not find like a gym that had a balance of the two. It just didn't exist. An option was Jean-Jacques Machado's because I came from Higgins, so it made sense. But he was more expensive and he didn't have as many classes. And, as much as I love Jean-Jacques, and then there was Gracie Barra in Northridge, but it just still didn't make sense for me as far as location. And then I called AJ from Shoyoro.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "You met Alberto at the World Clan, right?" Or what was it?
Open mat, right?
Yeah, it was like Open Mat World Clan at Kodekoma.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That was the first time I met you.
Okay.
Because I remember you saying that you had a gym in
So
Burbank.
it was worth it for me to go there because I barely made it. I was in traffic. And I got there for like the last, 20 minutes or something.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got there late too.
Okay.
Because I was coming from over here. But then I remember meeting you and they told me like, yeah, he has a gym in Burbank. You're like, yeah, come by anytime.
Cool.
And it was still kind of a blur, but I remembered meeting somebody at the World Clan that had a gym in Burbank. And I couldn't put my finger because there was so many people there, it's like a bunch of black belts.
Yeah.
And I think I was like probably a purple belt at the time.
I think Chris Branasumbadi also went.
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was there. And then when I called AJ, he's like, "You met Alberto over at the World Clan thing."
Cool.
And I was like, "Oh, great." So I came in, checked out a class, and I was like, "Yeah, let's give it a shot." So
You had mentioned that they're gonna maybe have breakdancing in the Olympics.
Yes.
So that's, for me, it's fascinating. I'm like, oh, cool, man. Like,
yeah. So as of now, I don't know where it's at right now as far as like logistically what the process is. I know that it's been accepted.
It's been accepted.
It's been accepted for the 2024 Olympic Games in France, right?
2020 what? 4?
Is it 2024 or 2000? It's like in a couple years.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, I know it's going to be in Paris.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And
I think Japan is in 2020, right?
Yes. Yes. So the current Olympics coming up is Japan, and then the one following that is going to be Paris.
That'd be a fitting place, right? Since it was very popular in
yes.
France and Germany.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it got accepted. And they did the Junior Olympics. It's been in the Junior Olympics already. It was there last year, the year before.
Okay.
And apparently it did really well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
pulled a lot of eyes.
Yeah, how fun is it to see these guys pull off these crazy moves? You're like, what?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
And so what's the format going to be? Like, they battle each other?
Yeah, it's just going to be battles.
Okay.
There's probably going to be qualifiers.
Okay.
All over the world. And I don't know who's going to represent. It's probably going to be a one-on-one, I would imagine. And then maybe if it gets more popular, they'll introduce like a 2-on-2 or, crew battle or whatever it is. But I think it's needed. I think it's really needed. I think it could be really successful because one thing about the Olympics is the Olympics are very rigid in like the things that they do is even the sports. It's like the scoring system is super rigid and it's just there's no room for real creativity or it has to be perfect. It has to be this and that. And with the breaking world, it's like you can't judge it the same way you would judge gymnastics.
Who are they going to be the judges?
Probably just other dancers, like guys who are judging in the circuit. I mean, I've judged a bunch of different events here and there, overseas and domestically. But
so you could potentially be an Olympic judge, huh?
Potentially, yeah, there's a potential. You know what I'd love to be? I would love to be a correspondent for the event for like Red Bull or something like that. Yeah. That'd be really cool.
You're telling me Red Bull has been investing a lot.
Yeah, Red Bull's been one of the people that have like really pushed the scene to the next level. But Red Bull's so smart, man, and just the way that they do their business. Red Bull does an event called Red Bull BC1, and it's one of the world's biggest one-on-one battles like around. And they've been doing it since 2005 is when they did their first one. But they're really smart about the way they do these events. So they did the first one, invites only, 16 people from all over the world, and they do it in like a small venue that seats maybe 500 people. It's free to the public, and they invest like $1 million into just production and filming it the right way. And so it looks...
Where in Europe do they do it?
They do it every year in a different country.
Okay.
The first year it was in Germany, Berlin. Okay. Second year was Switzerland. But so far in the last 12, 13 or however long it's been, they've done it in Sao Paulo. They've done it in Rio. They've done it in New York. They did it in Osaka, Seoul, Johannesburg, South Africa. Wow. This year, actually next week, Mumbai, India is the World Finals.
Wow.
They did Switzerland last year. They've done it everywhere, but every year it's in a different country. So, but Red Bull, they've built that thing up for the last, almost 15 years.
Yeah, man, they're doing so much. Like they're helping so many like really cool sports and events.
Yeah, but
like they started investing in capoeira as well.
Yeah. But it's like they always invest in like really cool things, but they just market it the right way. Mm-hmm. There's nothing corny about it. And they're very strategic. Because I've been, doing a lot of creative consultation for Red Bull for some of their future events, and seeing the amount of thought that goes into like a little event and the process. Like they're years ahead of the game. The meetings that I went in for with Red Bull were like for events that aren't even going to be till like 2022.
Wow.
And they're already starting to format out what's the format, how's this going to work, who are our judges, how is it going to be judged, how long are the sets going to be, just all the little things, all the little nuanced events.
Like they bring like guys from all over the world just to have like to sit down for a meeting, right? You're telling me?
Yeah,
just
that's
to hear
why
you guys' thoughts.
That's why I went to Switzerland. I mean, I wasn't dancing for the World Finals. They brought me and like a handful of guys out just for a meeting, for a consultation. They take care of you too.
Yeah.
They fly you out and put you up. You just go to the event and have a good time, go to a meeting and give your input.
Yeah.
It's a cool company to be part of, for sure. I'm super fortunate, and just I've been in the scene for so long, and
I'm going to look more into them, try to learn a couple things.
Oh my God, I'm sure. Yeah. They're just so strategic in the way that they put it all together. So much attention to detail in everything they do. I mean, everybody can learn something from the way that they do it. But granted, they also do have the budget to support it. If they want to bring in.
It's an Austrian company?
Yeah, they're based in Vienna or like Austria.
Austria, Vienna, Austria.
Yeah, I want to say that's where their Red Bull headquarters is. So. Because
I've like in Austria, like I don't think they have too many like good soccer teams, like Germany and all these other countries. Like they have, professionals, but Austria doesn't. The only what they have is Red Bull. They have like I guess that's like a sports complex. I've met a lot of the coaches and stuff that they bring, and they really invest in them to help to create good sports teams.
Yeah, and that's another thing that they started doing for the B-Boys that was like super groundbreaking for me. Is they brought out the Red Bull BC1 All-Stars, like the guys that they have under their sponsorship. And they brought them to LA for like a week and put them through like all of the physical things, like to see where their cardio's at and see how they can better, be better athletes. Or they brought in dietitians to work with them and brought in physical therapists to see what they're deficient in and what they're not, and nutritionists, and they really picked them apart and put all the sensors on them and had them go through like cardiovascular exercises and see like where their cardio's at. Well, you have a heart palpitation, when you get to this certain and they brought in all the scientists, man, and they're really helping the B-Boys grow like professional athletes.
Yeah.
But nobody else was doing that. Nobody else is doing that.
Because I look at like when I see some of you guys, like some of the movements and stuff you guys do, like there has to be like a lot of injuries. It seems like it. It seems like there would be, but I look at you, like I've only seen you get like dinged up in jiu-jitsu barely,
right?
Just because you move so well,
right?
But you would think, some of those flips and some of the things,
not too bad.
But
it's not too bad.
Like it's not like you guys know how to move so well that you guys figure it out.
Yeah, man. I think B-Boys are unlike a lot of athletes. It's like what's funny is we'd be on tour, like we did a MTV tour with America's Best Dance Crew, right? And, we do all these, we're like flipping off of like the second story of these risers, and we're doing all this stuff, and we're doing it every night, right? And then we'd be on tour with these other dancers who were just kind of choreography, regular dancers. And they were getting hurt left and right, like, pulling like, messing up a rib like an ankle, or like throwing out their back or whatever it was. And we were always just so like baffled by it. We're like, how are you guys getting hurt? Like I do a flip backwards on my head every single night, and like I'm not sustaining any injuries, and you guys are just kind of like running across the stage and throwing out your backs. But that's just kind of a testament to the kind of athletes and the talent in the B-Boy scene. Those guys are phenomenal.
Do you do like warm ups? Like what do you guys? I mean,
it's
maybe
similar.
not when you were younger, but now do you?
Yeah,
do you
no, I've always been good about warming up and being stretching and because I'm also aware that as I get older, obviously your body tenses up.
Yeah,
you start to lose some flexibility. So I do stretch a lot. I'm constantly stretching, even when it's not at the gym and I'm just at home or, even at school. I might go out into the hallway and just kind of like bend over a little bit and touch my toes and just kind of stretch out.
Yeah.
And it's just a certain kind of discipline that a lot of B-boys have, man. It's just that body type. Just they're strong. They're strong guys.
Yeah, man. When you remember Scott Sonnen
for the Tac Fit.
Yeah, what'd you think about that?
I thought it was great. I thought it was really cool. Everything he did was right in line with like what I did. It seemed kind of like a rigid version of breaking. Breaking's like super flowy.
Right.
Kind of like
kind of breaking it down like in pieces so people could actually learn it.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So it felt like that, like a slow paced version of what like basic breaking is.
Right.
Which I thought was really cool.
Because we had some capoeira people, like really good capoeira people there, right? And I mean, you don't think about, I breathe like this, I do this, but you just do it, right? Mm-hmm. But he's like, he explains it, right?
Right.
I think, for people to learn it.
Just like the extension and just kind of opening your body up. I think it's really cool. Just to kind of like, even for me, knowing all those movements, just to really slow them down and really breathe through it.
Right.
And I was really sore after that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It was more like my legs. I think I did one of the recovery days or something like that.
Okay.
And I remember my legs were so sore after that. I don't know exactly.
Oh, we did one of the flow days of the recovery.
Yeah, one of the flow days for recovery. I was like, it's supposed to be a recovery day. Now I need a recovery day from the recovery.
You're probably tight, Ton. You kind of went in a certain way that you're not used to.
Yeah, and I think I was also getting ready for the fight to win.
Right.
Thing also.
Right.
So.
Right.
But what about you? You competing again anytime soon?
Okay, everybody's always asking me that. So I competed this year. Okay,
you did.
I did. Okay, I did. So I did. It was an IBGF right in LA. So I did. I want to again. I want to. But I'm definitely. I have like a lot of things on the table for me.
Yeah,
too.
you're like me.
Yeah, but I want to. I definitely want to represent. It's in my heart, and I love it. I've been doing it my whole life.
I'd like to get another one in before the end of the year.
Cool.
That's my goal.
Yeah.
I was supposed to go to China in November, but later in November, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So that kind of opens the door for me to try to compete.
Yeah, it's fun. Just it's like bonding too, right, with everybody, like just training together. Yeah. I mean, I miss that, But I have to focus on a couple other things right now. But I'll be back for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think this year, but next year I'll do some other ones. Who knows, man? Who knows? I'm crazy.
I'd like to. I really enjoyed the fight to win format.
Yeah. It's cool. So it's fun because there's not so much pressure. You just basically,
right.
Like
and it's just one thing.
One match.
Just the anticipations was cool. It was really cool to do the whole weigh-in thing and the face-off and all that.
It's a lot more like raw or I guess real in a way because it's like whoever is like more aggressive, whoever is like more like a fight, Right. Whereas in IBJF, like you can make it like 2 points and the other guy can be dominating you and you can lose. Mm-hmm. So like this is
I like the sub only format. That's always been my favorite format. Yeah. Constantly.
Yeah. But there's judges at the end for this one for fight to win, right?
Yeah, there's judges.
So I like that too because the sub only can go 30 minutes, right?
Because it's sub only, but technically like if there's no submission at the end of it, they just kind of judge the match as a whole. Like well, he dominated. He went for more things. He was pressuring the entire time. He was being more active. He was going for the kill. He had a near submission here, there, da. So they're kind of judging it in their heads, and then they'll render their decision. And I kind of liked
it too.
That format. Yeah. As long as you're staying active, at least that was my big thing.
So obviously, dancing and music go together. Right?
Yes.
Is that how you got into music?
No, you know what it was? Is the music thing, when I lived in Vegas and I was starting.
DJing, I guess,
yeah,
right?
The DJing thing. So when I lived in Vegas, I lived with a bunch of DJs. Like I lived in a house that just had records in it. We didn't have a TV. It was just wall-to-wall records. And we just went out digging and went on little road trips and went digging for records. And I just became kind of like a music nerd in that way. And all my friends were DJs. So it's like I hung out with a bunch of breakdancers, but I lived with a bunch of DJs. So it was only natural, like I kind of got into that. So when I moved out here, I had met I moved out to LA in like 2007 or 8. And I met, or one of my friends at the time, unbeknownst to me, had a DJ management company.
Okay.
And I DJ'd like some small event in Hollywood.
You moved out to LA in 2007, 2008?
Yeah.
Same as me.
Like that,
okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And so I DJ'd some little party in Hollywood, and he's like, I didn't know you were a DJ. I was like, I'm not a DJ. Because this was like around the time of like the DJ boom where like EDM got really big and everybody was a DJ. But
you were good. You did a good job.
But I was kind of like whatever about it. I was like, I'm not really a DJ because everybody's a DJ. And it's not really something I'm trying to do. And then he kind of like slapped me upside the head and was like, what are you talking about? Like, you know music. You have an ear for it. So why wouldn't you pursue that? And he goes, I have a DJ management company. Like, I'll bring you on. Like, I'll put you out. And I'm like, all right, cool. Let's give it a shot. So I just kind of like stumbled into it. But I loved doing it. And then he started putting me out into some clubs in Hollywood. And then I ended up getting a residency at another place. And a lot of it's just relationship based. Right. You know, it's like just focus on being good at the thing you want to do. And don't be a piece of shit. And just and just maintain good relationships with people.
Yeah, don't burn anybody.
Yeah, don't burn any bridges. Be cool with everybody. Be genuine. Be honest.
Authentic.
Yeah, and authentic. I mean, half the jobs I get, DJ wise or dance wise, it's just based on relationship and just.
Man, so you B-boy or you do all kinds of things. You're like a host. You do all kinds of things. You DJ, and then now you do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah,
you compete in jiu-jitsu now too, and then now you're in school, right? So how do you I guess find time for that, and how did that happen?
Well, the school thing happened. It was a it was a weird product. It was a weird byproduct of a couple of jobs that I was up for that I didn't get.
Okay.
That were a little devastating. They were a little devastating to not get them because they were big things. One of them was Jennifer Lopez's tour DJ. I was up for that. And it was between me and like one or two other guys. And I was like, if that happens, then I'm out for like months on end, just on the road with J-Lo, which would be cool. And the other one was like an opening set tour with like some big EDM DJs, some really big names. And I was up for both of those jobs. And it was pretty promising for both of them. And then when they didn't happen, I just lost out on the jobs. I lost to somebody else. Somebody else got the jobs, which was great. I know the guys who got the jobs, and they're all good guys. And I was like, damn, I didn't get the... And I kind of like... I had cleared my schedule because everything was so promising. They kept telling me, like, clear your schedule. This thing could happen. And if it happens, it's going to happen quick. So I'm kind of getting everything ready. And then when it didn't happen, I just had, like, barren desert in front of me. I couldn't book anything. I couldn't do anything. I didn't get this job. And then my mom actually kind of brought up the prospect of going back to school. And I'm like, I'm not trying to go back to school and get some like degree that I'm never going to use. As busy as I am these days, just with all the things that I do, I just don't have time to go into like get some degree in like business or whatever it was. And then she's like, well, what about like a music thing? And I'm like, I guess I could do that because when I was coming up, when I was in high school, like music degrees weren't really a thing yet. And now there's specialty schools for music production or DJing or whatever the case is. And the number one question I always got as a DJ in the industry, when somebody knows you're a DJ, oh, you're a DJ? Do you produce? That's the follow-up question every time. And that's kind of the next step. And in fact, I challenge people to name a famous DJ who is not a producer. It's like, it's hard to do. People are going to be like, well, Calvin Harris, Steve Aoki, David Guetta, Diplo. They're going to name all the big names, but all those guys are producers. They were producers before they were DJs. So the next step in the evolution of music and DJing is production. You just have to get into it. So I applied to the Los Angeles Recording Institute, and I got accepted, and now I'm in like their program now. I've been there for about a year. For the associate's degree in music production, recording sciences. So
you're a beast, man. You're a beast.
It's a lot of work.
You're coaching now. You competing in jiu-jitsu, in training jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
All the other stuff that you do on the weekends, whether it be DJing or some kind of breaking thing.
Yeah, a lot of traveling. It's tough. It's tough. But I love all the things that are happening.
Yeah.
Like the school is amazing. Everybody's like, do you like it? It's like, I love it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a pain in the nuts to manage that along with a dance career, along with a DJ career, and along with the jiu-jitsu, I guess you could say, career in a weird way.
I mean, hey, man.
It's so weird. I never expected this to happen with jiu-jitsu ever at all, to like be competing on like some world level or teaching or, being, a mentor to people. I never anticipated that. Did you when you first started?
No, I just loved it.
Exactly.
I just followed my heart, for sure. I just followed my heart, and man, next thing I knew, I started doing good, and then people were asking me, and I started helping them, and
that's kind of how it always starts, right?
Yeah. And then it's rewarding, right, when you help people get better, and they actually do something.
And that's another thing that I've just experienced kind of for the first time is I'm showing like a lot of the system that I use as far as jiu-jitsu goes in the no-gi class, and to see people like really not just implementing it, but implementing it like effectively against other people. I'll say like Josiah or something like that. And he's playing like this crazy like X guard game, and he's transitioning to legs and going to this and going to that. And I'm just like, dang, like he's getting it. Like I showed him that. Yeah. And it's like really cool. Fast. Yeah, it's really cool to see people taking that and level up. And you're just like, wow, that's really cool. That's new to me also. Like I never taught. I taught a lot over at Hegan's, but it was a different vibe. Right. Just a much different vibe. Right. So
yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool. Like we all appreciate those classes.
They're fun, man. It's a good group of people.
How can people find you?
Pretty much I'm the most active on Instagram for the most part. I have like a Facebook and a Twitter, but I don't know.
What's your Instagram?
DJ Mike Murdah.
Mike Murdah. So when we call you out in class, we call you Murder.
Yeah. Right.
Mike Murdah. Okay. And what? So Instagram and what else?
Just, Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram.
Everything else is under the same handle, but it's just DJ Mike Murdah. So, it's kind of like a melting pot of all the things that I do. I try not to like confuse people. Because people like look at it and be like, so is this guy like a dancer? Is this guy like a fighter? Or is he like a DJ? Is he like, no, it's just all those things, man. I just like doing all this stuff. So
you're the man. Thank you.
Oh, you're the man.
Thanks for coming on.
Of course, man. Anytime. It's crazy.